So the real estate market is changing quite a bit. Home sales volume is down dramatically. A lot of it has to do with interest rates, house prices, and even lumber prices have gone down. But there's 3 or 4 reasons why this is just a temporary blip in the system. Very soon, building will go up, and more importantly, lumber prices will go back up. Housing prices will probably stay about stable. They won't go up, they won't go down. Now, you may see some reductions on listing prices, but that doesn't mean that the home market value is going down. Here's why. Let's say a home was worth $350,000 in 2019, and that home shot up 450, 550, 650, 750 at the beginning of 2022. And now somebody's going to put that house on the market, and they're going to take a shot. They're going to say, you know what? I'm going to put it on the market for $799 in April or May of 2022 to move the market a little higher. Well, now all of a sudden, wait a minute, there's a pullback in the market. House prices, there's more houses for sale. People aren't buying as many. I'll drop it back down to $749. So you might think that house went down in value $50,000 from $799 to $749, but that house was $350 3 years ago. It was $650 a year ago. It was $700 6 months ago. It's still above where it was. It may not go up fast in the near future, but it's not going down. Here's the reason why. Home construction has a built-in pressure behind it. It's like a pressure cooker waiting to blow. Even the New York Times says solving the housing crisis means building when even no one wants houses. The U.S. is in a deep, decades-long housing shortage. Look at those 2 words, deep, decades-long. Remember, 2008 and 2009, we had a housing crash. Many, if not most, builders went out of business, especially small ones. The larger builders, KB Homes, Beazer, GL, all the major home builders, slowed down in the 2010s, 2010 to 15. Okay? In 2014 or 15, they started ramping up a little bit, but they were very cautious. Remember, they were only about 5 years away from a major catastrophe. So they weren't going to go out on a limb and build a ton of houses. So even from 2014 to 2020, let's say 2014 to 2019, builders were starting to get out there, but very cautiously. They weren't building huge volumes. And then, of course, 2019, we had a pandemic, and that shut down the housing construction market. Many job sites were shut down. So you basically only had about 5 years of lukewarm building to make up for the normal building cycle that went from, let's say, 2009 to 2022, right? That's 13 years of necessity, 13 years of pent-up demand with only 5 years of mediocre building volume. That's why in 2020, when there was a little bit of a blip in demand, that the prices went through the roof because there weren't enough houses. And that's still the case. Where are the facts? U.S. housing market's under a crisis because of production. U.S. homes deficit doubled from 1.6 million to 3.8 million in 2 years. There's your deficit right there. Now, you might think, well, did we catch up? It got even worse. This is from 2012, 2019. In 20 and 21, this deficit went over 5 million, according to many experts. In 2021, they started to catch up. They tried to add on some more, but really there's only an excess of about 500,000 houses a year that can be built excess. So if it went up to 5 million deficit, you throw 500,000 extra houses at it, maybe it brings it back down to 4.5 million. It's not a ton. And now all of a sudden, 2022, the builders are slowing down again. Here's another problem. The housing stock is old. The median age of owner-occupied homes is 39 years. In 2005, it was 31 years. Look at the age. 2005, 31, it's going up. These are old houses that we have in the market. So even with more homes being built, look, from right about here, 2014 to 2019, homes are being built. And that's why you can see this ledge is not as steep. Look, from 2008 to 2014, it was pretty steep. They started building some houses in here and it shallowed out the curve a little bit. But we still have 40-year-old houses. People want newer homes. That's why there's a lot of remodeling and new houses. So not only do we have a shortage of houses, but we have old houses. Put those three things together: a shortage of houses, an immediate shutdown again of new home construction, and old houses. It's just a matter of time. The pressure is out there for home construction. Granted, with interest rates being at 6% and home values up now over 400,000 median, there might be a little bit of a catch your breath. But look at it this way: 6% mortgages for most of the history of U.S. mortgage rates is considered low. For most of the 70s and 80s, mortgage rates were 8, 9, 10%. At one point, they were well into the double digits, 12, 14%. Now, most of the people buying houses today never experienced that. They don't know about that. So to them, 6% seems a lot compared to 3. And of course, $400,000 houses seem like it's expensive, when before you should be able to buy a house or find one for $250 or $300 or low threes, a decent house. Now, most starter homes are close to $4. So what do you do as a buyer? Well, what you do is, first you get scared at the interest rate, then you get scared at the price, and then you say, well, I'm going to hold off because I'm scared. And then your feelings kind of get absorbed. And then you look back and say, well, I'm still renting. I'm paying $2,500, $3,000, $3,500 a month for rent, which any halfway decent apartment or rental home is going to be close to $3,000, if not more. And then you look at, well, even if I buy a $500,000 house at 6% mortgage, my mortgage payment's about the same. It's $3,000. So once you get over yourself of the interest rate is high, the price is $400, $450, the mortgage payment is still the same or less than your rent, or close to it, and you own your house, which is something that most people want to do. So once the shock value of the new market fades and people kind of digest and absorb the new pricing scheme, they realize, look, my monthly payment is going to be $3,000. That's what it is. Am I better off renting? Am I better off buying? And rents are still going up too. So even if they don't come to that realization right now, next year, the following year, when their rent gets boosted up $300 or $400, they're going to come back to reality, especially since now there'll be more homes for sale. The price may not go down and the rate may not go down, but now you may be able to find a more appealing house. Look, one of the reasons why people were so frustrated with buying a house in 2020 and 21, in the beginning of 22, is because the only houses that came on the market were not very appealing. There was a very limited supply, and sometimes the supply were the lower quality homes. They weren't really nice houses, and you only had one or two to choose from. Now that more people are selling, you may have a higher capacity of variety to pick from. You may still have to pay the price, you may still have to pay the interest, but at least you can get a decent house. And once people realize that, the home selling machine will kick back up. Now, there's a couple elephants in the room. If we have a deep recession and people lose their jobs and don't have income, you're not going to buy any house. Doesn't matter what the price is. If you have some major development with inflation beyond what we already have, and gas prices are $10 a gallon, and food budgets go up to $1,000 a month, that could affect things too. But people need a roof over their head. And historically speaking, the homes that are out there and that will be available in the next 2 or 3 years, like, you can't instantly flip a switch and have 5 million extra houses thrown onto the market. This takes a long time. Planning, zoning, permits, floor plans, funding for developments. The home construction machine is a very slow moving process. So having that backlog of buyers built up can't immediately be satisfied. The buyers are still there. They may be taking a break for a month or two or maybe a year. But the demand pressure is still going to push the home sales to keep that price point where it is. You may have some, more acclimation back to doing contingencies, to doing inspections, to doing firm commitments instead of just, you have to buy, and if you're not all cash and you're not waiving inspection, I don't want your deal. You may have sellers be more traditional in the deals they're taking. And that will keep the lumber prices where they're at. We just saw, we did a video last week about how lumber now is being traded by the truckload instead of by the train load. That will help modulate that, but also put more demand on lumber. We'll probably see lumber stay in about the 600, 700 range. It won't go back to 300. Probably won't go back under 5. It may not go over 1,000, but that trading range now has been shifted up from 3 to 4, from probably 5 to 6, maybe 650 per 1,000 board feet. We're seeing it on our construction side. We're also seeing it on our insurance side. The home market is very interesting. Tell us what you think in the comments. What's going on in your community? Are houses selling? Are they not selling? Are there more on the market? And what about mortgages? Are you in the mortgage business? Is your volume basically falling off the face of the earth? And are the buyers of good quality, or are you getting bad quality applicants?